Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping right into the massive, invisible tug-of-war happening behind the scenes of our digital lives. We've got a comprehensive overview of the latest battles in the modern cyber landscape, and we're pulling this directly from recent cybersecurity intelligence. The digital arms race is absolutely accelerating right now, and the battle lines are essentially being drawn across four critical areas.
So let's quickly map out the four distinct battlegrounds we'll be covering today. Securing the supply chain, critical vulnerabilities currently under attack, how AI is actively joining the defense, and finally, how law enforcement is striking back.
All right, let's dive into front number one, securing the supply chain, defending the digital water supply.
You can think of the software supply chain kind of like a city's digital water supply. Hackers aren't just breaking into individual houses anymore. They're trying to poison the well before the water even reaches your tap. By compromising foundational developer tools, attackers can infect thousands of downstream applications all at once. But to fight back, major platforms are fundamentally altering their architecture. Take GitHub's new staged publishing for NPM, for example. The old way allowed direct publishing, meaning a new package version was instantly available to anyone using it. The new way? It mandates that a human maintainer pass a two-factor authentication challenge to explicitly approve a release. It's a simple human checkpoint, but it acts as proof of presence and totally blocks automated poisoning from compromised accounts.
And let me tell you, those new supply chain defenses are desperately needed right now. Just think about the recent Megalodon attack campaign. In a terrifying, tiny 6-hour window, attackers managed to push malicious commits to over 5,500 GitHub repositories. They used throwaway accounts and forged identities, like pretending to be a build bot, to inject workflows that harvested data on a massive scale. We're talking CI secrets, AWS credentials, and SSH keys. Basically, actually, quite literally, the master keys to a company's entire kingdom. The sheer speed of that automated campaign shows you exactly how dangerous the supply chain landscape has become.
Plus, the attackers are getting incredibly sneaky with how they hide this stuff. Take the packages composer attack. Instead of putting malware in the usual PHP files where defenders were looking, they hid it in the package.js file. That's JavaScript tooling, meaning the standard PHP scanners just skipped right over it. In a separate but very similar strike, over 700 versions of Laravel Lang PHP packages were compromised in mere seconds. The attackers used automated mass tagging to deliver credential stealers. Now, you might be thinking, I don't code in PHP. Why does this matter? Well, the cross-ecosystem nature of these attacks impacts the underlying apps that store your personal data every single day.
Moving on to our second front, Section 2, Critical Vulnerabilities Under Attack, which is all about rapid-fire exploits.
10.0. That number is the absolute maximum possible severity score on the CVSS scale. Think of it like a Category 5 hurricane warning for IT teams. And that score currently belongs to a vulnerability in the Lightspeed user-end cPanel plugin that is actively being exploited out in the wild right this second. The flaw boils down to incorrect privilege assignment. Essentially, any basic cPanel user could abuse a specific function to run arbitrary scripts as root, which effectively gives them complete 100% control of the server. When a vulnerability hits a 10.0 and hackers are already using it, IT teams are basically in a frantic race against the clock to patch it.
And these exploits happen so smoothly. Look at the recent Drupal core flaw as a perfect example. An attacker sends a specially crafted request, they execute a SQL injection to basically bypass the bouncers at the door, and boom, instant privilege escalation and complete remote code execution. Breaking down that technical jargon, it just shows how efficiently an attacker can completely take over a website if these platforms aren't updated immediately. To really underscore the rapid-fire nature of this front, CISA, the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, is constantly updating its trackers to keep up. They just added vulnerabilities in Langflow and TrendMicro Apex 1 to their known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. The Langflow bug is a severe flaw that allows full system compromise, and the TrendMicro issue allows local attackers to inject malicious code directly into network agents. The main takeaway here for anyone managing a network, continuous aggressive patching is pretty much your only survival tactic right now.
That brings us to Section 3, AI joins the defense, the automated shield.
We constantly hear about how bad actors are using AI, right? But defenders are absolutely stepping up too. Enter Project Glasswing. This is a really fascinating defensive initiative launched by Anthropic. They're granting a small set of about 50 partners exclusive access to their Claude Mythos AI. And the entire goal is to autonomously identify vulnerabilities in widely used software. So AI isn't just a buzzword here, we're seeing it actively deployed to proactively secure systemically important global software before the hackers even get a chance to strike.
The sheer volume of actionable intelligence this AI produces is honestly staggering. Since going live just last month, Project Glasswing autonomously evaluated over 10,000 potential software flaws. And out of those, it pinpointed 1,726 valid, true positive vulnerabilities. To put that into perspective, over 1,000 of those were classified as high or critical severity flaws across open-source projects. We are looking at a true paradigm shift here, where AI acts as this tireless, automated shield finding zero days at an incredible scale.
Finally, let's hit our fourth front. Section 4. Law enforcement strikes back, and the real-world consequences for these attackers.
Dismantling these cybercriminal networks takes an incredible amount of patience and global coordination. Just look at the timeline for Operation Saffron. Back in December 2021, a massive multi-nation investigation kicked off, focusing on First VPN. This was a service specifically designed to obscure the origins of ransomware and data theft for 25 different ransomware groups. Fast forward years later to early 2026, and authorities finally identified their hidden infrastructure. Then, on May 22, 2026, a massive coalition led by France and the Netherlands successfully dismantled the entire criminal network. It is a huge win against the digital shadows these criminals hide in.
But alongside those massive network takedowns, we're also seeing highly targeted individual arrests. The Department of Justice recently arrested a 23-year-old Canadian man who was allegedly operating the Kim Wolf DDoS botnet. And what's really terrifying is his target list. According to the DOJ, he went after digital photo frames, web cameras, and home routers. It perfectly grounds the invisible world of cybercrime right into those physical objects sitting on our living room shelves, the stuff we all own but always forget to secure.
This action highlights the ultimate strategy for law enforcement right now, disrupting the cybercrime as a service model right at its physical roots. By arresting these specific operators who enslave thousands of these mundane household devices and then sell that access to the highest bidder, authorities are crippling the commercialization of massive DDoS-for-hire attacks. They aren't just putting out one fire. They are taking the weapons dealers completely off the digital streets.
So that brings us to the end of our overview, and I want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on. As AI autonomously finds thousands of critical bugs before they can ever be exploited, and as global law enforcement increasingly coordinates to dismantle criminal infrastructure, will the automation of defense finally outpace the automation of attacks? The cyber landscape has always been this perpetual arms race, but for perhaps the very first time, the defenders are wielding tools that are just as fast and just as scalable as the attackers. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious and definitely keep your systems patched.